Hey, what's going on, you guys? It's Alec here. I want to take some time out just to kind of break down some of the frameworks that I use that have helped me get from being overweight, out of shape multiple times to then getting back in shape. When I was growing up as a little kid, grew up on the McDonald's diet, didn't really know too much better, and I was really good at playing Halo. That was pretty much all the stuff I was pretty good at there. When I was getting into high school, I accidentally got signed up to join the football team, and I began to have this bit of a shift in my identity of like, okay, I'm a football player now. You know, I gotta start training hard, and I was doing the two-a-days, had a personal trainer, and I was lifting weights and stuff. After getting into pretty good shape in high school, going off to college, I wasn't playing football anymore. You know, I didn't need to do a two-day practice and then lift weights afterwards, so I found myself just hitting the gym far less frequently in college than I was in high school. And there's more opportunities to imbibe on the weekend. Next thing I knew, freshman 15, I gained all this weight back and had to come up with some different methods, different techniques for getting back in shape. And fortunately in college, I was studying health and exercise science. So I just take the things that I was learning in school and apply it to getting in shape. I looked back over all the experiences and I thought to myself, okay, well, I found that I really implemented three things. So I want you to imagine like you've got these like three separate circles. When you got all these separate circles and they're overlapping each other, you know, classic Venn diagram, what you have in that middle there is like really optimum health, peak performance, and being in really great shape. So what are these three circles comprised of? Well, the one circle is mobility. You gotta make sure that those muscles are loose. You gotta make sure those joints have good full range of motion there, and if you don't have that, you are just significantly increasing your chance of getting injured, and when you get hurt, then you can't go to the gym. That totally sucks, and I've had it happen multiple times. I neglect stretching, I neglect warming up, I neglect doing the foam rolling, and then next thing I know, I get some type of injury, some type of overuse thing that's happening. So you want to make sure you're focusing on getting that warm up, doing that stretch, hitting that foam roller. And when you do that and you know that there's no impingements and everything is feeling a little loosey-goosey, then you can move on to building your endurance. Having a great foundation of endurance, cardiovascular health, it is phenomenal, not just for heart health, but it's also just great for improving your performance overall. When you're able to endure doing long bouts of just steady state exercise, your body is quite literally just like adapting to being in that state of putting in hard work. And when you are able to either put in harder bouts of work for longer periods of time, or you just get accustomed to putting in just a steady state level of work for a long period of time, it just triggers all of these like really fascinating cascading effects within the body that helps it improve, which helps you also improve your weight lifts. It helps you be more focused. You are able to increase your lung capacity. There's all these cascading benefits for being able to make sure that you have really good endurance. Plus, imagine someone steals your wallet and they start running away. If you can chase after them and you can catch them and you got muscles on you, that guy's out of luck. You know, they're not gonna do that again. So endurance type of things, like I've had people say like, oh, my knees are really bad, I can't run. All right, hop on the elliptical. You know, it's the thing with like moving foot platforms, and then you got the hand thing going on there. It's really great. There's zero impact on the joints because you're not lifting and hitting your foot on the ground. Your feet are planted the entire time. They're more just like sliding and moving around. So you want to make sure that, you know, there's some good calculators on there on like the internet that you can look up where you plug in your age, your gender. I don't know if they ask for height or anything like that. I think it's just age and gender, and it'll spit out this heart rate zone where if you have your heart rate within this particular zone, supposedly it's like really good range of you know, beats per minute or whatever. That's really optimal for burning fat. And the thing that I also like about that as well is you can make sure that you are putting in the right amount of effort, that you're not half-assing it, or you're also not just pushing yourself too hard and then at the end you're like, oh, this sucks, I don't know why. What's going on? But if you have your heart rate within that zone there, every time you go to the gym and you notice that like, oh wow, I gotta work a little harder to get my heart rate up, you know you're starting to see some improvements. But when you first go, you know, just make sure you are doing some form of like steady state, constant movements for 30 minutes just to begin with. Doesn't matter how far, doesn't matter how intense. The goal there would be to just get used to moving your body for 30 minutes straight consistently. And then there's different like little levers you can pull in terms of like how you can increase the intensity. You can either go faster for that period of time, you can keep the same intensity of how fast you're going, but just increase the period of time. You can go really fast for like an even shorter period of time. You know, there's different things that you can do to kind of manipulate the results that you want to get there. But once you have that second circle filled of developing that endurance, then you can focus on hypertrophy. Now you might be thinking like, all right, Alec, you said mobility, endurance, hypertrophy. What about strength? You know, what about power? What about well, those things are those are factors that you can implement within your workouts that can help with your endurance, and it can help with building or triggering hypertrophy. You know, hypertrophy is a result. It's like something that your body responds to. So there are these different things that you can do that can trigger that response. But here I'm focusing on hypertrophy, building muscle. I believe that when you start to implement things that challenge your body in a different way, it causes your body to need to grow. And when it's growing and when it's building muscle, that's just like fantastic all around. The more muscle you have, the higher your metabolism is, the more calories you're burning quite literally while you sleep. So there's really no reason to not try to build up that muscle. Don't worry, you're not gonna wake up one day and be like, holy crap, how did I get all this muscle? That doesn't happen. It takes a conscious effort. And every year that goes by, I forgot what age it is, I think it's like after like you're 60 or something like that, you're in this constant battle of actually fighting against your body to just either maintain the muscle or try to grow it. And I always say you should try to grow that muscle. So hypertrophy is a result. It's a response to what you are putting on your body that causes the body to say like, hey, I need to grow some muscles. And one of the best things that I found to do that, sure, you're just like, oh yeah, strength, you know, work on power. The thing that I found that works best is visualizing the muscle squeezing and contracting, and really just like Arnold says it all the time, where he's like, oh, you got to pump the muscles, you pump it full of blood, and the pump, it's like calming or something. I don't know. But it's a great actual way of visualizing it. Not the common part, but the pumping full of blood part. When you're filling those muscles full of blood, it triggers these neurons. There's neurons, you know, from the brain, and it connects all throughout the body. The neurons are the things that actually really trigger the muscles to grow. These neurons, they release these signals into the muscles. And it's like, hey, we need you to grow. But in order to have the neurons do that, you have to cause enough of a stimulus to have them do that. You know, imagine it's like a parent trying to wake their kid up for school. They open the door and they're like, Johnny, you got school. Just wanted to remind you, you gotta wake up. Close the door. There was not enough of a stimulus. But you also don't want the parent that comes in and then dumps the bucket of water. It's like, that's too much. Poor Johnny. But the parent that comes in and they're like, dunk, 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 Johnny, you awake? And it's like, it's like, oh, got a little bit of response there. Johnny, the school starts in 10 minutes. And I'm not making you breakfast. What? And then it's like, oh, now they get up. And then it's like, you know, there's enough of a like stimulus interaction there to get little Johnny up out of the bed. And same is true for your muscles, but you can't just do it half-assed. Like mom opens the door, Johnny, it's time for school, boom, closes it. That's kind of like what a lot of people do when they're lifting the weights. They're thinking like, well, I just got to lift the weight. I lifted it, therefore it should trigger the muscles to grow. And the mom's like, oh, I opened the door, I told Johnny you got school, it should have been enough to get him. It's like, no, that's not. You need a bit more of a stimulus going on there. You gotta like really think about it. You gotta be present. You gotta really like the mind-muscle connection there to get it to grow. A really cool thing that I had heard is that when you are exercising, if you can try to, like, you know, when you're lifting or you're working hard and you get the burn, you know, it's like, oh man, I'm feeling the muscle burn. It's that, you know, that lactic acid, that burning sensation. That is so healthy for the body. I don't know why. It just like, that burning sensation just does so many positive things within the body. It's a stimulus that says like, hey, you know, we're growing, we're moving, we're grooving, and we gotta improve. And if you can aim to have it like 10, I think it's 10%. Studies have shown 10% of your workout is that burn. That's a great measure for knowing that you're working hard. It's also a great measure to know that you are likely causing enough of a stimulus to have your body begin to go into a hypertrophic, to trigger hypertrophy, to build those muscles. And the best way to get the best hypertrophic response, to make sure that you got a solid foundation of endurance, and to make sure you're not getting injured at all, you got to work on that mobility. So those are the three things: mobility, endurance, and hypertrophy. I hope that has helped you kind of think about how you can structure your workouts in the future to really maximize the results. Don't go too ham on the cheat days. I'm still like, I'm feeling exhausted. Like my brain hurts. I feel like I went out drinking or whatever. It was like way too much. I don't know what the ramen noodles. You gotta be careful with it. But anyway, I hope this video was helpful. If it was, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Peace.